Hello and good day to you. This is video 693. It is September 12th, 2020. And kind of a loose string of thoughts here. I'm not necessarily sure I'm going to have a coherent message, which maybe I never have, but just a couple things I wanted to talk about. Um, I had some blood work done recently. If you've been following, you know that I I've not been on hormones almost for a year because my blood's been a little funky. Um, it's something to do with there's a compound I don't necessarily understand or care to know about the science of it, but there's apparently a protein in our blood that our body makes that they can detect traces of, and it's a sign that somewhere in the body something ain't right, and the body makes this protein as a byproduct of trying to deal with it, whether it be could be inflammation in your joints, it could mean a problem in your liver, it could also mean cancer. um, it's one of those things. It hasn't caused a problem yet, and so that may very sorry for the loudness there. um, so it might lead maybe to me having an MRI or a CT scan, for cancer eventually. But it's a little problem now. Might escalate into a bigger problem. And my super wise and wonderful endocrinologist, who kind of tipped, said, "Hey, something ain't right with your body." I was trying to get back on hormones, and she just kind of said, let's do a full blood panel, and she noticed it. And so her recommendation, which is what I want to share with you, is something you can Google. It's called Golden Milk, GOLDENMILK. I think you probably can buy it in your grocery store, or probably definitely in a high-end foo-foo organic market. I would imagine something like Whole Foods or something, but you can make it at home. I make mine at home. It's a lot cheaper to just make it. But essentially, it's a non-dairy milk, like an almond milk or soy milk. You can use any natural milk as a base, but to that you add turmeric, which is a spice that goes into curry powder and other things. Traditionally, I believe what we would in America call Indian foods, um, along with ginger and cinnamon and black pepper. And the black pepper apparently is something that boosts your body's absorption of the turmeric. Oh, I got kitty cat. Ah! Sorry, bud. It boosts your body's absorption of the turmeric. And so it kind of sounds like a really funky pumpkin spicy type beverage, and it is. It's very warming. You've got the hotness from the ginger and the cinnamon, and I think it's kind of there to mask the taste of the turmeric. Turmeric on its own is a very bitter spice. Um, but like I said, look it up on the internet. I think my recipe is, um, for every cup of milk, I add a tablespoon of turmeric, half a tablespoon of ginger, half a tablespoon of cinnamon, and then a dash or two of black pepper, and then heat it up, boil it, and then once it cools down enough, when you put it in your coffee cup, I put honey to sweeten it. And of course, natural honey on its own, you can't put honey in a boiling beverage because it breaks down the honey. But it's a super, just if you look at the properties of what it does, turmeric is an anti-inflammatory, which if you're as old as I am, although I'm not old, I'm just mature, um, usually. Can't really say that either. I'm just as old as I am. It helps with your joints, your muscles, and like I said, it's anti-inflammatory. If you take an ibuprofen for something, it's going to help you out. It's also good for stabilizing blood sugar if you're a diabetic. It lowers bad cholesterol. I mean, it really is like I call it the spice is in Dune. The spice melange. To me, that's what I've been calling turmeric because it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I guess I should put a disclaimer on that to say if you're allergic to any of those spices, I won't be held responsible for any badness that happens to you. But it really is kind of good, and I make a cup right before bedtime. And the other thing is having something that's kind of warm like that, you drink it as it cools. It has the same effect as tryptophan does on Thanksgiving Day. So it will knock you out. I mean, it will put you to sleep if you're having trouble with insomnia. Like I said, it's almost like a miracle. It's a miracle cure. Uh, so I'd pass that along to you as you get older in age. And the reason, again, like I said, my endocrinologist did it was to help address some of the factors in my blood. My blood, as it is right now, I've not tasted it, so I can't tell you how it tastes. But chemically, um, I've got a lot of fat, glycerides. I've got my cholesterol is wonky. Like I said, I've got this protein, and I'm gonna say PCM or PMC. This protein that's in my blood that says something's wrong somewhere. So because of that, I'm not on hormones. That's the short of it. I'm sorry it took us 6 minutes to get here, but I'm not on hormones. I can't take hormones until this gets cleared up. Other factors, obviously, if I lose weight, um, it'll help. The more I exercise, that bullshit. That's true. I guess I shouldn't call it bullshit. That crap. The more healthier you are, the lower you are at risk, as in most things in life. So, that's kind of the whole point of it. But I can say after being on it for 2 weeks, uh, I am losing weight, which is good. It doesn't hurt to exercise, and that's what also was a tip off to it. Um, I could not function in my daily life without taking. I was taking 4 ibuprofen in the morning, 4 ibuprofen in the afternoon, and ibuprofen at night every day, which probably wasn't really good for my liver. But just to function, my body, my joints were hurting. I mean, it hurt to sit down. It hurt to get up out of a chair. And I'm 49 years old. That's just not at 49. I don't think medically it's not. I'm not there yet. If I'm 80 or 85 and I'm having problems with my joints, you'd say yes, that's normal. But anyway, so I hope if you're having any bad symptoms or you have a cold, try to give the golden milk a try. You don't have to be sick to drink it. Um, it's a I've kind of adopted it as part of my routine, and I'm going to keep it up because I'm quite fond of it. I mean, it's ginger, it's everything you like about eggnog without the fat and the milk. So that's it. So that's one issue that I guess I wanted to share. Probably what, and then another thing I'll share with you real quick. Sorry. Which again might be age and stage, and the channel is one trans at middle age. You might be coming to this like I am, where before your transition you were married, and I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm going to assume it is. Married or in a relationship, and the transition ended your relationship with somebody. Last night was my daughter's 14th birthday party, which was like a birthday dinner. And my daughter's she's gotten to the point now where, you know, she stopped having birthday parties. I don't know, maybe 5 years ago. Well, the divorce era, when we got divorced was really right before we got divorced was her last party where you have decorations and kids and it was an event. and after the divorce, it just, it wasn't the same. So we didn't really have birthday parties. But last night was really the first dinner, gathering that felt really normal and appropriate, for lack of a better word. And it was myself, my daughter, my ex-wife, and her fiance. And it just felt really good. Everything felt appropriate. Everything was good. And I guess I'm entering a new era, a new chapter here where I'm seeing my ex-wife with someone else and very happy. And I'm very happy that they're very happy. I'm happy that they're happy that they're happy. And they treat my daughter, right and good and everything. So, it's kind of a new phase in my journey where I'm looking as an external person now. It used to be my ex-wife and I and my daughter, and now there's someone else in the picture. And I feel good because if something was to happen to me, I have, since my daughter was born, I have always been the primary caregiver. And if something was to happen to me, if I was to die, if let's say I have some funky blood disease, I have cancer somewhere, and it's in my body, and I'm gonna die from it, I feel good. I feel comfortable that my ex-wife and her fiance could watch over my daughter and keep her safe. Keep her safe. I'm happy. I'm sad, but I'm happy. It's a milestone. Excuse me. Because I'm not on estrogen, I can't cry, and I don't have testosterone either. ah, ah. Yeah, my blood test. You want to guess what my numbers were? My testosterone was 11, 1, and my estrogen was 5. Ah. The support group that I'm in, some people talk about, my estrogen's only 120 or 200. I'm sitting there going, well, I got 5. Um, but anyway, so that's something new in my life, and so I'm happy for my ex-wife, to find someone, and maybe she can give her something that I couldn't. So we'll see. We'll see. My ex-wife divorced me because I was transgender, but my ex-wife divorced me because she was a lesbian, and so she was a closeted lesbian who came out. And so last night, we were at dinner, and the waiter, the server was like, "All right, ladies, what would you like?" And I just sat there for a moment and I said, "Oh my gosh, you know, in the last 5 years, 6 years, my life has transitioned." Which you go, well, duh, that's the whole point of what you did. But, you know, my ex-wife divorced me so she could be a lesbian. Now she gets to be a lesbian. She's going to marry another lesbian, obviously. And they're going to have their own life. And I got to transition to myself, which is good for me, so that's good. And then my daughter, obviously, is growing up. We're at the point now, too, my daughter has some other things going on that she's going to start to see a counselor, a therapist, and maybe a psychologist to help get her a little bit of medication going. She's got some anxiety issues. And so, before the fear of any parent, the fear of me as a parent, I'll use me as an example. I thought that my transition was going to screw up my daughter. She was going to be emotionally scarred and everything. And It turns out my daughter has some other things, like I said, chemically, serotonin in her brain and everything. So it's good that she's getting those things addressed, and maybe that's the point that I'm not really making here as very well. Is at the end of this transition, everyone got what they wanted, or everyone is going in a really good direction. My ex-wife gets to be the lesbian that she always was and is, and she will get to be experience uh, being in a lesbian couple. And I'm not trying to throw that word around. Please don't. I feel like I've said it 20 times in the last 2 minutes, but she will get to be the person that she was and always was, but hid. She will get to live that in the same way that I am living what I am, and my daughter will have the tools and whatnot to reach her full potential. So that's all very, very good. And I feel to a certain degree I'm way too screwed up to be in a relationship with someone right now, but there's a part of me that's like, well, when am I gonna find somebody? And as the cliche goes, it'll happen when it happens, and you know, I think it'll happen when I'm ready. And right now, I'm not ready. I'm still trying to figure out some things with me and whatnot. You know. Uh, but I guess the third thing, which probably was the first thing I should have talked about, what the topic that's on my mind is how we want to rush things. You know, I think it's not limited to being transgender. I think it's more about life in general. But we want to rush it. We want to rush it. Once we flip the switch up here and we say, I'm going to transition, I've put it off long enough, I'm going to transition. Or we say, fuck it, I'm going to transition. All of the reasons that we have not to transition that fall away, whether by force or passively. Some of us, we have to transition. We cannot not transition. We no longer have a choice. For some of us, we're going to die or kill ourselves if we don't transition. Some of us, it's passive. Some of it's very active. Some of it's very positive. Some of it's very negative. We transition. Once we flip that switch, we say, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to accept the responsibility and take the risk and try this out. Once we do that, we want to rush things. We want it now. We want to. I've waited for my whole life for this. I'm going to do it now. I want it now. I want it now. Where do I get my letters? Who do I go see? How do I change my name? And probably amongst the first list of things is, how do I have surgery? And once we find out that, well, realistically, it takes about a year to get your paperwork done. To see it from the get-go, to see a therapist, and to get your letters, get recommended for hormones, which I know there are some providers who will do informed consent, but I would be very skeptical of any person, doctor, nurse practitioner, who meets you for the first time and says, "Oh yeah, I'll write you a script." Oh, it's on you. The burden's on you. Uh, you know what I mean? It's like, but what the hell do I know? Maybe I'm wrong on that. What did I do? Well, it just so happened that the support group that I was in at the time, which has now gone out of business, has disbanded. They invited my nurse practitioner to come in and talk about hormones, and as an educational thing. And I made it a point at the meeting, because I'm an opportunistic person, to introduce myself and say it was nice to meet you. I buttered her up. I'll be honest with you. But I mean, that's my personality. Thanked her for coming in. I thanked her for talking, and so I visually got in contact with her. And within a week, I set up an appointment, and I met her again, and I reminded her, "Oh, I saw you at the meeting." Da 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 da. So I laid the groundwork for what I was going to ask her for hormones, and of course she does informed consent. So I guess I'd be a hypocrite to say I'd be skeptical, but I kind of am. I kind of am. I mean, I don't know. Times change. It took me 4 or 5 attempts to get hormones before I could get hormones. But anyway, I don't know how we got here. Uh, we want to rush things. We want it now. We want it now. We want it now. And of course, once we start hormones, we want those changes now. I want it now. I want it now. We want to rush things. After a lifetime of denial and everything, we want it now. We want it now. And we all know, a good wine takes several years to develop. I live near Kentucky. A good bourbon takes years to develop. And even a baby, a human being, takes 8, 9 months, to develop. So if we want really good results, we really do have to wait. But again, we don't want that. We want it now. I want bigger boobs. I want longer hair. I want my face to be softer and all that other crap. And what bit me in the ass this week is I can't have hormones until I lose this weight, or until my blood has to go back to normal, if I ever will. Assuming I don't have cancer or something. But people say, "Oh, well, start exercising and eat better," and you're like, "Yeah, I will." And I found myself this week going, I want it now. I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait. I want it faster, because I am losing weight. And if I continue on that trajectory and I keep the momentum going, I will continue to lose weight in the weeks ahead. And if I'm in a support group and I say something about, yeah, I'm really bummed out, I'm really sad because I can't take hormones because of my weight, and I'm working on it. People are like, "Oh, well, should you diet?" Da, 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 da. And you want to say, "Thank you for your concern, but I'm already doing everything that I'm going to do. It just is going to take time." I didn't blossom. I lost 120 pounds in a year for my surgery, and after my surgery, it took 2 years. I gained it back. I've gotten more. And because there's something funky with my body now, I have gained more weight. And my ex-wife told me the other day, she said, "You look bloated to me." And I said, "Well, I feel bloated." And that's what's happened. All of my clothes are tight. I've gained so much weight. And I am exercising. I am eating right. Like I said, there's something else going on here. There's another player, and there's another force in play that we got to figure out. But I'm in the process of tackling that. I have turned it around. Because of the golden milk, my body is functioning. I can move I promise you, I felt like I'm going to say old person, but to use my mouse at work, oh my gosh, the pain. Okay. I'm on the right trajectory, and it just is going to take some time. And we have the rest of our lives, but we don't see that at the moment. I want it now. I want it now. I want it now. And it just takes time. It just takes time. We have to be very patient. an example in my life right now is I'm doing electrolysis. I've had as much laser as, the laser is only good to a certain degree. The laser does not zap all your hairs, and of course that depends on your age and stage. Uh, you know, you can see my gray hair up here. A lot of my beard hairs are the really thick, translucent hairs. All of the black hairs are gone, but I can grow a beard, okay, with my gray, really thick, coarse hairs. And, it just takes time with electrolysis. And I was talking to someone who, uh, they live in Louisiana, but apparently in Oklahoma, there's a place that does like 8 hours of electrolysis, and they knock you out for it. Which, golly, that wouldn't that be wonderful? But yeah, they knock you out, so you're asleep medically, okay? And they have a team of electrolysts. They have four electrologists who are, while you are asleep, okay, they do your face, they do your neck, they do all of this, okay, for like 8 hours or however long it takes. Uh, and then, a couple months later, 6 months later, you go and you do it again, right? Because the hairs that are dormant and all that stuff. Life cycle of follicles, you can look that up. And the person said something to me about, yeah, I'm glad because I only have one more to go and that'll be it. And I looked at her and I was just like, girl, you have no idea. You know, it's years, and of course, I guess it's individual. It's your mileage may vary, but you know, there's years of electrolysis. It's not, you know, I started electrolysis when I was in college. Okay, I had brown hair then. Now, yes, there have been some breaks in time, but I've been going to an electrologist for in Louisville here almost a year, and biweekly, and I still have beard hairs. I mean, and I kind of jokingly, as I was driving home, and I made a video about this too. I said something about, you know, not only could I be doing this for the rest of my life, but I was like, is this a game? Is there a hidden camera? Is this a fool's errand? That to think that there is an end to electrolysis. And I guess I'd have to ask one of my friends who's had more hours of electrolysis than I probably have hairs on my head. Uh, at what point do you say, okay, this is vanity? I can deal with a couple hairs. I can deal with shaving once a week. And at my point, anything I can do now to add to my retirement, I get to retire in like 19 years. And so rather than spend, $60 on an hour of electrolysis, I can put that in my 401k. I can put $60 in my 401k. My company matches it 1 to 5. So, I put 60 in, they put $240 into my, 240 plus 60 is what, 300? I can turn my $60 electrolysis into I spit $300 of 401k. And $300 now with compounded interest or whatever for the next 10 to 15 years, it's huge. You know what I mean? And maybe I do electrolysis when I retire if I so inclined. But the older I get, the more of a fuck it attitude I have with life. So I probably wouldn't do electrolysis then. But anyway, to each their own on that. And obviously your mileage may vary. But the main point is we want it now. We want it now. And that it amazes me that years after excuse me, years after transition. If I die of cancer, this is gonna fucking suck. But anyway, years and years and years after transitioning, I still have the same. I want it now. I want it now. And golly, we have our whole lives. We have the whole rest of our lives for the little things. Um, but I must say, not being on estrogen, just it sucks. But I count my blessings that I get to live as a woman every day. I get to live as the person that I am. I think I made mention about that earlier. You know, I, I don't think I'm a woman or a man. I don't know what I am. Not that I have to know, but I just am. I just am, and I definitely forget what I look like throughout my day. I don't feel feminine. I don't feel masculine. I've never felt masculine. But where I'm at now, I just am. I just exist. She, her is nice. It's definitely more appropriate than he, him. But I'm not a they, them. I just am. Just me. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. Today is a support group day, and usually they do that at the beginning, pronouns, and if I was to go, I would just be like, I don't know anymore. You know, I honestly don't know, and I again, does it matter? I had someone misgender me on the phone the other day, which kind of threw me off. I just took it in stride. I didn't care. I was like, whatever it takes to get the job done, you know what I mean? Uh, People that you'll meet once, you'll never see them again. You're not going to go out to dinner with them. They're not part of your life. They call you Mr. Parks or Mr. So and so. What the fuck difference does it make? You know what I mean? Let it go. Let it go. But there were times, definitely, in my transition, it would have really bothered me. So I guess I should, if you can, let it go. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But anyway, can you imagine a time in the future where gender won't matter? Like mixed couples today. When I was growing up, some 20 or 30, 40 years ago, 30 years, no, I can say 40. Some 40 years ago, it was scandalous for a black person and a white person to be together. Scandalous. Now, nothing. So, can you imagine, again, if the trajectory continues with non-binary, it won't matter. I'd almost say it doesn't matter now. I wouldn't, of course, I'm transgender, but, a guy in a skirt doesn't matter to me. Women wearing pants, well, that's been that way forever, seemingly. But, again, it won't matter. We're headed there. So, alright. Well, I'm sorry if I kind of babbled on, but I wanted to share the goodness of the golden milk, especially if you're an older person such as myself. And then I wanted to share a bit about post-transition marriage relationships, and I wonder so much about meeting somebody, and I've tried, you know, I've tried, and of course that study, that talked about how, you know, only 1.6% of the population is interested in dating a trans woman. That's a real morale booster. Uh, but I know a couple people. I know a couple guys, and by guys I mean you could be trans men, okay? But I know a couple guys who I would be interested in being roommates with, not necessarily romantically inclined, but maybe that would come in time. People who do the hobbies that we have similar interests, similar senses of humor. We're not carbon copies of each other. We're not two peas in a pod. Uh, I could see them as a relationship, like a friendship that might grow into a romantic relationship. But I'm not attracted to women. Not really. I mean, I fantasize about men, I guess, but sex is so far down on it's not even on my top 100 desires. You know what I mean? Uh, and I wonder, if it'll ever be. If it'll ever be. I told you I wanted to be a nun, right? I wanted to be a priest when I was younger. When I was in my 20s, I wanted to be a Jesuit priest. I wanted to go study away and be a Jesuit. And I actually spent some time at a Trappist monastery. I was going to be a monk. I mean, really, no shit, no bullshit. And boy, that sounds like a cool life to me right now. Just get up and praying and chanting and singing, and then go work in the fields a little bit, make some fudge to sell at the gift shop. You know, and pray some more, sing some more, go to bed, love God. I mean, that sounds like an awesome. I don't know what nuns do. I know nuns typically don't get any credit unless they're like in the community, but I could be a community nun. So maybe I will still be a nun. I love the video. There was a series on Netflix was called it was Dracula, but the nun in it, she said something like, "Yeah, I'm akin to a sexless marriage. My relationship with God, I'm accustomed to something like, she gets the benefits, she gets food, she gets shelter, but there's no love in the relationship. That was her relationship with God, and uh, I don't know. I don't know if there's room for a druid nun, maybe, but I thought that would be kind of neat. But anyway, I don't know, and that's you don't have to be transgender to know that we have no fucking clue. We have no fucking clue where we are going to end up. And a friend, there was a trans woman on YouTube when I was in college, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I've said this before, but she said something about the person that we are at the end of our transition may not be the same person we were at the beginning of our transition. And of course, in life, obviously, your tastes change, your desires change, depending on where you are and your maturity. Obviously, it changes. But, you know, we have no fucking idea where we're going to go. And I mean, that's life in general. You have nothing. Something could happen to you at any moment. You could be driving down the street and get hit by a bus and die. You could be walking down the street and get hit by a car and die. You could be exercising at the gym and have a heart attack and die. I mean, we have no idea when our life is up. And it's such a I don't want to say dichotomy or an inverse relationship, but as part of our transition, we're doing it for the future, right? We're changing our lives to live the rest of our life. It's, we're making a change now for what comes later, and yet at any moment that later can be taken away from us. But we really have no clue. We think we do. They say the fastest way to hear God's laughter is to tell him your plans, you know, but we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. We're doing the best we can with what we have. Which, if I was inclined to get a tattoo, that would be probably my tattoo. Would be, I'm doing the best I can with what I got. Because golly, I say that almost every day now. Especially when I look in the mirror. Because, like I said, I forget what I look like during the day. I look in the mirror and I'm like, yeah, that's me. I transitioned. But I just look at myself and I say, baby, you're doing the best you can with what you got. And, obviously, transition, we're changing so much about ourselves and so much about our lives. Um, we're doing the best we can with what we have at that time. So, on that note, I will wish you the best of luck in your transition. I wish you the best of luck. Damn, I want to talk about one more thing, but I know the timer's going up. We're at 41 minutes here. This is like, if you've been walking, congratulations. If you're on the treadmill, congratulations. Um, and I've dealt with this issue before. Someone had posted something in the support group about, um, changing your voice. And definitely, we go through all of this. We change our appearance. We want to change our bodies, whether it be facial feminization or breasts or whatnot. Uh, and we're so stuck on where we are when we transition as far as our age goes and how malleable our bodies are to change and chemical. I mean, there's so many variables. Um, and I totally forgot where I was going, which happens when you get old. Fuck. Damn. It's gone. Like Sputnik. Oh, your voice. Sorry, I remembered. Yay! Ding, 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 ding. And, your voice is such a. You've listened to me and my bad falsetto. And, someone had come up to me and talked to me and asked me if I liked their new voice. And I nodded and I said, well, what do you think? Are you happy? And she said, yes, she was. And I said, that's great. It doesn't matter what anyone else, and that's another bit of wisdom I can impart to anyone who's transitioning. It doesn't matter what other people think. It only matters what you think. You're doing this for you. You're not doing this for somebody else. So, unfortunately, we are our harshest critics when we transition. But you are the only you that matters. You're the only you. You want to be the best you can be. And which kind of comes across as being selfish. I mean, that's an argument I was told when I wanted to transition. Oh, you're being selfish. Don't you care about your family? Yes, I am. I want to be truthful with them. But our appearance and whatnot, if we are happy, and of course we see ourselves through a lens that's very distorted, so we're not, I only see a man in the mirror, we were very judgmental against ourselves, but, do it for you. And it's the same thing with the voice. You know, there are women, and I've said this before too. Cher is one of them, but there's women with even deeper voices than Cher. So it's not pitch, maybe it's intonation. The voice training that I took, the professional voice training that I took, talked about, transitioning trying to increase your pitch but also trying to change their vowels, changing your vowels a half step, and reducing resonance. That was kind of the focus of the training, was reducing resonance. All of those things. If it's what you want to do and you are happy with it, that's all that matters. You know. And I told this story too when I was working as after college. I worked at a movie theater selling popcorn with my degree, and just there were times I would have my back towards where the people were, and I could hear them. And I used to play a game where I tried to guess their gender, who they were, male or female. And you know, the people come in all shapes, sizes, and voices. And so again, you know, number one, I would say it's up to you, whatever you're happy with. And then number two, with that, it's kind of a 1-2 punch. Be happy as you are, and you're happy. But then the second follow up is, and be mindful of the limitations that you have. You know, a 55-year-old who transitions, you're not going to look like a 20-year-old, okay? And as that goes with appearance, it also goes with voice. Um, be realistic, and in the same way that we get to the point where we say fuck it, you know, I don't give a fuck what you think about me. I am myself, and this is who I am. That also applies to our voice. You know, just a thought. But anyway, now that I've overloaded you with ramblings, I will close it off and say I wish you the best of luck in your transition, the best of luck in being your authentic self. And I almost think we need to come up with a different word than transition, although it is appropriate. If we were caterpillars, we would probably we would look at being a caterpillar as our life before transition, and probably the pupa stage would be our transitioning, and the butterfly stage would be post transition. But the fallacy in that is that the transition is, it almost goes on for the rest of our lives. Like I said, we do hormone replacement therapy for the rest of our lives. Uh, as near as I can tell, we do electrolysis for the rest of our lives. There's so many things that are involved in transition. It can take years after you transition. You're still dealing with psychological issues and post-traumatic stress disorder, and like I said, it's almost like we need a word for the later half of it when we're in our butterfly stages, and we're still dealing with some things, and that's, I guess I'm an advocate for post surgery, but I hate to use surgery as a limiting factor. But I'm gonna say your fourth and fifth year, there's got to be some word for it. That's why I'm such an advocate of it, because we're so concerned about the first 2 years of transitioning, and then it slips off, and trans women go stealth, or they disappear. I mean, I don't, you you want to move on in your life and do other things, and yet you still need counseling, you still need help, and there was another person I spoke with who had their surgery, and they're like, yeah, I'm done now. And I just was like, I wish I was done. I wish I was done now. you know I'm still in the easy bake oven cooking. But anyway, all right, good luck to you in your transition. Good luck in becoming your authentic self as you define it, as we always say, as you define it. That lovely line from Starship Troopers, the movie. Johnny says to his teacher, I'm going to join the mobile infantry and see what I'm going to be. And the teacher says, good for you, go find out. Explore who you are and enjoy it. All right, till next time. Good luck. Bye-bye.